For more on all this, let's bring in Steve Moore, Committee to Unleash Prosperity and host of More Money on WABC Radio, and Michael Faulkender, former Assistant Treasury Secretary and now Chief Economist at AFPI. On the side, he teaches school at the University of Maryland. There's a lot going on here, Steve Moore. None of it's very good. Student loans will be canceled. Up to $30 million. Somebody told me this thing could wind up costing $500 billion before it's all said and done. And anyway, the whole thing's illegal, but the Bidens don't believe in legality or the Constitution. What are you thinking here?
Well, you know, I was listening to your fascinating conversation just previously about abortion, and we don't want to be talking about abortion, before the election. What we want to be talking about, Larry, is tax cuts and prosperity and small businesses and making sure that we have the best economy possible. So, yes, absolutely, we have to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. And don't forget, one of the most important elements of that, which you worked on, Larry, you and I both were part of this, was making sure that it wasn't just corporations, but also small businesses. Small businessmen and women got a 20% reduction in their taxes. What was the impact on that? Universally positive. We got a lot of capital back in the United States. We created a lot of jobs. I don't understand why Biden would want to repeal something that would work. And with respect to the student loans, come on, Larry, 30 million more people are going to get student loan bailouts. What are they going to do next? They're going to bail out people for their mortgages? We're going to tell people you don't have to pay your credit card debt? Who's going to pay for all this? And by the way, the suckers here are the people who do pay their loans. They're the ones who have to pay for people, the deadbeats who don't.
Yeah, well, get ready. You know, this is Bidenomics in an election year. Mike Faulkender, I'm interested in the corporate tax provision, not all of it. The expensing will expire. But the 21% corporate tax cut was permanent. In other words, Biden would have to overturn it, Michael, as you well know, because you were there when we instituted this stuff. And he'll never have the votes to do it. But actually, individuals across the board, Grady Trimble's right. As I recall, the individual code, each bracket had about a 3 percentage point reduction. Plus you had the immediate expensing, plus you had the child care deduction, plus you had the increase in the standard deduction. Now, a lot of that stuff will go to middle-income people. I don't know if Joe Biden and his crowd know that, but a lot of that stuff was aimed at middle-income people and would be depriving middle-income people of valuable tax savings.
That's right, Larry, because what the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act did is it actually made the code more progressive. If you look at the most recent tax data that we have, the highest income people, the top 1%, made about 22% of the income and yet paid 42% of the personal income tax. Because at the end of the day, lower rates mean people actually report all of the income that they generated. And as you said, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act increased the standard deduction so that people could have simple taxes. It lowered the rates. It lowered all of the rate brackets, not just the one at the top. And if we were to allow that thing to expire, yes, it would very much depress wages. Because remember what we saw during the 2017 to 2019 time period. Median household income went up $6,000. What has it done under the Biden administration? It's gone down more than $2,000. It's a very clear choice for the American people.
You know, Steve Moore, just on the loan cancellation for a minute, okay? It's sexier. We love to talk about supply-side economics. The whole thing, all these loans should be removed from the Department of Education. DOED should not be able to make any loans or cancel any loans because there isn't a single person in that department, in those horrible-looking walls, post-war walls. They've never made a loan. They have no credit analysis. They have no expertise in that stuff. This should all be pushed back into the private sector. Private lenders know about credit analysis for the student or the parents and so forth and so on. And you should put this stuff, it's 1.7 trillion loans, should go into the Federal Financing Bank, which is run by the Treasury Department. Faulkender, nod your heads because you know I'm right. And the FFB will figure out a way to work out these loans. Otherwise, Uncle Sam's going to realize tremendous losses. losses on the principal and losses on the interest, Steve Moore. In other words, what I'm saying is there's a way out of this mess, but it is totally not what Biden is doing. He just wants to make it much worse and dig the taxpayer in deeper and deeper and lose a fortune on this where we don't have to lose a fortune.
Yeah, I think if it was Obama administration,
Yes.
you two may
Yes.
remember
No, it
that
was.
basically converted it into the government running the program. Boy, they've done a wonderful job of it, haven't they? When we got 30 million people not repaying their loans. And look, Americans aren't stupid. These young people aren't stupid. They realize if they just don't pay it and you get a Biden come along, they will forgive these loans. By the way, can you imagine if they do this? Do you think it'll be the death of the student loan program? Who in the world would ever in their right mind pay back a student loan? It's like amnesty, for immigrants. You give them amnesty and then people will keep coming in. And by the way, Larry, you have to have my wife Ann on this show to talk about student loans because she's like a perfect example of someone graduated from UCLA, didn't have a lot of money, had a pretty, low-income starter job, and she meticulously every month took money aside from her paycheck and she paid back the student loan. And it was a real sacrifice. And now she's so angry. She feels like she's a fool for having done that. And so the people are really being victimized by this are the people who acted virtuously and did what they're supposed to do, which is you take out a loan, you repay it.
Well, Mike Faulkender, that's the other thing. This is just election vote buying. I mean, that's the intention. Election vote buying. We all know this. I mean, it's just the only thing transparent in the Biden administration is they want to have a buy of votes. But the thing is, it's not going to pay off because of the Ann Moores of the world. And then there's this, look, most people didn't go to college and most people didn't go to graduate school. They're the ones who don't have these advanced degrees, don't want them, probably don't need them anymore. They're the ones who are going to finance the so-called elites, and they're going to be very angry. And this thing's going to backfire on Joe Biden politically, Mike Faulkender. That's the stupidity of this. They can't even get the election incentives right. This crowd.
So, Larry, in fear of making you and Steve both more upset, let me first start by saying that it was the Obama administration that nationalized the student loan market to pay for Obamacare.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
so
that's right.
they committed
That's
the fraud
right.
of
That's
saying
right.
that it was
That's
a
right.
revenue generator.
Yes.
Right? And then they put it over to the Department of Education.
Yes.
It's about the 6th largest bank in the nation, and yet they don't have a single banker over there.
Yes.
They don't match when they have a bunch of them in the income-driven repayment program, and yet they don't check the IRS tax file to see how much money these people are actually making because it's not being done by Treasury, it's being done by the Department of Education. And one other thing, Larry, is there is no reform of tuition or college education associated with this. Penn Wharton estimates this will actually cost $1 trillion once you incorporate how student borrowers and universities will respond to this forgiveness.
If you cancel the loans and everybody gets a freebie, then what happens? The universities just jack up tuition again, and we go through the whole thing, and there isn't one humanoid in the Department of Education that has ever made a loan or done a credit analysis. That's why it has to be removed from the Department of Education.
And on top of that, Larry, one quick point.
I got to get out. I got to get out.
The university should be on tap for some of this stuff.
Yeah, they should, and they're going to get theirs sooner or later. Also, with the populist administration coming. Mike Faulkender, very good. Steve Moore, very good. Thanks to both of you.